So in the like more kind of agrarian periods, like industrialization, the biggest mover or the biggest fear that people had was the fear of God, you know, that God will strike you, that if you steal or something. So it was like Balaji actually explains, it was like a decentralized law enforcement. So you don't need to have like many policemen or let's say some like cameras everywhere, but actually people really believed, and lots of people, including the elites, believed in God, and actually that God will strike them after or they will like they will go to hell, let's say in afterlife. And it was like distributed law enforcement. So actually it was quite important that they had this belief. Okay. And when the Nietzsche proclaimed that God is dead, actually what he meant, and Balaji talks about it, what he meant is that the elites didn't believe in God anymore, and they started to believe in God, Gov, like G-O-V, you know.
Government.
So there was the faith in G-O-D, and they started to believe in G-O-D.
Hello, welcome back to Ntambo's Desk, a weekly podcast covering deep conversations on technology, philosophy, complex science, and cryptocurrency. My name is Duke Ntambo, and the following is a conversation with Jakub Szymek, a co-founder of Wezesha DAO and an author of Wisdom Enterprising. In today's episode, I will be talking with Jakub Szymek about his article, God, State, and Network State, on the daily Balajisms series. And now, dear friends, here is Jakub Szymek. Well, according to Balaji's concept of the network state in relation to the idea that God and the state are both dead, how does this tie into the rise of encryption and deplatforming on social media?
Hi, Duke. So yeah, Balaji discusses like three leviathans, or like three prime movers, or three biggest powers, you know. So like in the history. So in the like more kind of agrarian periods, like industrialization, the biggest mover or the biggest fear that people had was the fear of God, you know, that God will strike you, that if you steal or something. So it was like Balaji actually explains, it was like a decentralized law enforcement. So you don't need to have like many policemen or let's say some like cameras everywhere, but actually people really believed, and lots of people, including the elites, believed in God, and actually that God will strike them after or they will like they will go to hell, let's say in afterlife. And it was like distributed law enforcement. So actually it was quite important that they had this belief. Okay. And when the Nietzsche proclaimed that God is dead, actually what he meant, and Balaji talks about it, what he meant is that the elites didn't believe in God anymore, and they started to believe in God, Gov, like G-O-V, you know.
Government.
So there was the faith in G-O-D, and they started to believe in G-O-D, sorry, in G-O-V. So, and currently, thanks to the internet, and also we discussed with Alexander Bart on your podcast before, how with the internet people can now talk to each other without some mediation of, let's say, in principle, yeah. Now we saw with Twitter files that with the big tech and with like this Web2 kind of paradigm, it's not there was some centralization, and people were their speech was somehow curtailed, and yeah. But technically, people can now with internet they can just share their ideas openly. And what does it mean? That they actually re-tribalize into much smaller groups, and they're quite diverse. So you can have like some super forecasters, some super actually smart, I don't know, people grouping together, but then you can have also some conspiracy theorists grouping together. So it's like Balaji talks about how internet increases variance, meaning like you could have like like let's say QAnon kind of types, like believing in conspiracy theories, but you can have also like Satoshi Anon, meaning like anonymous guy who created Bitcoin. So you can have like upward deviation and downward deviation. And then you have in the middle, you have like this midwits or something like this kind of old elites who are like these blue anon, or like it's just like a metaphor for the like let's say within the US context of Democrats, like blue Democrats, just like I don't know, just being like normies on the internet, like believing everything that New York Times says or something like that. So, but if you don't believe everything the New York Times says, it doesn't mean that you are just like some kind of conspiracy theorist, but you could be someone like Satoshi, inventing a whole new kind of economy, crypto economy or something. Yeah. Sorry, so that's sorry, that was the second one. So now actually people, the elites started to or stopped believing in God, let's say in the 1800s, 1900s, and so like therefore Nietzsche proclaimed the God is dead. And now, thanks to the internet, actually, like we could proclaim with the Balaji or something that the Gov is dead, like the government is dead, basically because of this like retribalization into like in a noosphere, into various like digital tribes or yeah, like various tribes online, digital tribes, opinion tribes, or like memetic tribes. Sorry, actually, this is the word. But also because like people don't believe that government will solve their problems as they used to believe, let's say in 1950s. I mean, they still believe it, but it's much less. And especially the elites, it's all about like the elites and counter elites. So we have counter elites like Elon Musk, who is South African. He moved to California, then he moved to Texas because he got fed up with California. And the idea is that he produced actually the innovation of Starlink, and he got Ukrainians the internet when the Russia actually tried to cut them off the internet. And actually, what he did also, he allowed like free speech over Starlink, meaning like he refused to censor the Russian media because he wanted Ukrainians to also have like the viewpoint of their enemies, so which is actually might be useful sometimes. But that's like example of like say one guy who is almost acting like a government, but like the key point here is the speed of how he did it. If it was a government, you would usually be just like writing like some proposals, like some initiatives. Because I'm involved in like some of these like initiatives at the European kind of of the European Union. It's like Team Europe initiatives, and it takes like 2 years just to design the initiative and sign the document, and then to launch it. I don't know. It's like I'm criticizing here the speed. It's like you could like the tech guy can can like just produce. And okay, therefore I think that people don't understand Elon Musk because he's doing a lot of mistakes, but he's also iterating very quickly, so he did some mistakes with Twitter, but then suddenly, like a few months or I don't know, 6 weeks or something after, we have new features like the count, the view count or something, and it's like really quick pace of innovation. But with the governments, we don't see this, and therefore the elites, or let's say the counter elites, don't believe that much in Gov anymore. So it's the regular people still believe in God and in Gov, and which is okay. But it's all about like the elites, where the zeitgeist is like it's with the elites. And actually, elites and the counter elites, they always fight together, and they decide the future actually of those jurisdictions or countries. So that's the point. So, and now we have the network. Okay, going to the third Leviathan, or the prime mover. A network can be understood also as a culture, but it's like also like peer-to-peer relations and relationships. And okay, the network, now people believe more in network, let's say, than in God or in the state, and that you can believe in all three at the same time. But it's the question is what share, what mind share they have in your life, you know. So it's not like they are not exclusionary, and you can have actually productive or unproductive hybrids between them. Like the network state, the book by Balaji, is like a hybrid between two, like the state and the network. And the network is like encryption, so it's like Bitcoin or Web3. So the network don't allow. Okay, before it was like boys in blue, or like the policemen don't allow you to steal, therefore you don't steal, and therefore you like watch all these detective stories from your childhood, or you play like policeman when you were a kid, because everybody's like kind of, as before people believed in God, like that God will punish you, now they believe that police will punish you. But more and more of our lives are spent in the digital sphere. And for example, if you live in the US but somebody steals your crypto or something, and the guy or the girl is based in, let's say, in Russia or in Nigeria, or I don't know, somewhere, or I don't know, in Belgium, just like not to be too stereotypical about it, but then the US cops will not get that, you know. It's like they don't have the jurisdiction in Nigeria and in Russia and in Belgium. And if it's some small case, you know, somebody gets some scammed online, you know, so it's not like the go to a local police station and say, no, I don't know, someone, I don't know, someone just robbed me like this, I mean, scammed me online. But if it's some big case, maybe FBI might get involved or something like that. So that's the difference. So therefore, you will realize when you are like more and more of our lives are spent in the digital sphere, like of our waking hours. Some people maybe spend like majority of their lives in matrix, because like as Balaji says, like more than your waking, let's say, if the half or more, I mean, the majority of your waking hours are mediated through some kind of screen, like you are working on a computer, or you are always on your mobile phone, then digital is kind of becoming primary. COVID arguably it became kind of primary, the digital kind of sphere, and the physical is like a printout of the digital. And so if the digital is primary, then also like what kind of protects you in the digital sphere? And one is like encryption, because like Bitcoin protects like, let's say, billions, hundreds of billions, or of dollars, depends on the price now, but dollars without some violence, or without guns, and I mean, some or warplanes or something. So it just protects the wealth through math, through mathematics. So that's like new way how the network can protect. How the network can protect through encryption, and it can also protect through like cancellation. So meaning like say the network will not allow you to steal because you are afraid now not of God but of network. Actually, then the network will cancel you or deplatform you. So we will, let's say, not engage in some kind of, I don't know, misbehavior online, or some kind of politically incorrect or something speech, or I don't know, things like that. So the network can kind of is the Leviathan through encryption, but also through cancellation.
Okay, so does the belief in God or the state differ from belief in the network, and what implication does this have for law enforcement and protection of property? I think you discussed about it more, so maybe I can try to shift it to another question. Can the concept of the network state manifest in both bottom up and top down ways, and how do these differ from one another?
Okay, so the bottom up and okay. Yeah, can you repeat it again? I think, or let me check the article, but it's like bottom up and top down. I know that at the end I wrote something like
so can can the concept of network state manifest in both bottom up and top down ways, and how
Okay, okay.
from one another?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you could have various hybrids of like these like three leviathans or three powers, prime movers or something. So you could have, let's say, a network state that emerges from bottom up through like the process that Balaji explains in his book, The Network State. First through like startup societies that can be started by anyone with a laptop, like any like girl, boy, woman, man can be a founder of a startup society, but she or he needs to come up with some moral kind of innovation and have it like one commandment of that startup society. And if she attracts a lot of people, let's say, it doesn't need to be a lot, but a couple of people who are committed, aligned with the mission of that startup society, and they are capable of producing online collective action, like regularly doing something online, like let's say posting together. Then actually this is like the second stage, like the network union, because now they, let's say, it could be like a guild of graphic designers. That's also an example discussed by Balaji, and they can, like, let's say, share some advice between them, but they can also protect themselves like from some online cancellation. So if one member is like unfairly attacked, then they help him or her. But of course, if there is some kind of like that he's guilty of some small kind of infraction, then let's say there are some rules like how he should or she should kind of compensate it, or like maybe there is some I don't know, he's like temporarily not banned, or he has to pay, or she has to pay something to the group, like, and but they protect him or her, let's say, from online harassment or cancellation efforts. And so it could be like an online guild of graphic designers or anyone. That's like the network union. And then if the next stage is like a network archipelago, where the people who met online and who created like a community online, then they decide to crowdfund some real estate together, let's say buy some lodge in Kenya. That's just like an example. Okay, or build like
Kiwanjani.
Kiwanjani, yeah, but it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, that was great experiences in Kiwanjani with elephants, eating breakfast and watching elephants drinking water. That was great. Kiwanjani, a little plug to the lodge that doesn't exist anymore, but it was we spent a great time there. Yeah, you could buy a lodge, or you could. But the interesting thing is that there was no mobile phone signal and no internet in Kiwanjani. But with Starlink, soon you could have like a fast internet in places like this, and you could actually run companies from totally remote places in the middle of ranch in rural Kenya. You can get actually more remote. Is the density of population in Voi, it's kind of like quite low. So okay, maybe you can in some northern parts of Europe or America or Canada or somewhere in some you can get similar or maybe less populated areas, but actually around Taita Taveta it's quite it's quite lots of empty space. And of course you have the Tsavo East and Tsavo West national parks. So okay, but lodge sounds maybe luxurious, but you could have like some prefab houses built together, and you can crowdfund community as a as an online community that gets together and now becomes like a physical community. And the last part, which is kind of like futuristic, but that's like the idea by Balaji, is like the network states that will get diplomatically recognized, let's say as Vatican is recognized, or the Knights of Malta, for example, as like an order of knights, and it's also like diplomatically recognized by some states. So you could have something like that, but maybe in 10 years and some network state when it reaches sufficient scale. So, but you could have startup societies or network states, network unions that will just stay at the level of network union. But this is like the bottom-up process of this, like creating a hybrid between network and a state. And a top-down process is like, let's say, China adopting new technologies, like, let's say, creating blockchains, but it's more like centralized blockchains, like enterprise blockchains, but like running a lot of things through AI and blockchain, and having like social media, let's say, like WeChat, that are actually an inspiration for Twitter. That's also something like interesting that actually Elon Musk is discussing, actually, that he wants to borrow some features from WeChat and not vice versa. But so, okay, so like digitally capable countries like Estonia or China or some other Singapore or something, they might be seen as like some kind of becoming like a hybrid between the state and the network, but like from more like a top-down.
Okay, since you mentioned also about network unions and network archipelagos, do you think the network unions and network archipelagos will emerge and potentially gain recognition as network states? And how does this relate to the rise of cryptocurrency and Web3 technologies?
So how does the rise of network
the rise of cryptocurrency and Web3 technology, like, do you think the network unions and network archipelagos will emerge and potentially gain recognition as network states? And how does this relate to the rise of cryptocurrency and Web3 technologies?
Yeah. So it's like Balaji mentions this example of, let's say, the rise of new currencies or something was like quite the curve, let's say, of like how many. If you plotted a graph, like, let's say, this year, and how many new currencies are there in the world, it would be kind of flat or like growing, like just very slowly, let's say you had like only like 50 or 100 something states in the UN like a couple of decades before, but then you have like new countries like Slovakia in 93, or let's say South Sudan or something, like East Timor, like some new countries emerging here and there. And similar to the currencies, like, so like there was like Czechoslovakia and Czechoslovak crown, but suddenly we had like Czech crown and Slovak crown. And so you had like two new currencies emerging, let's say, on some graph. But then we accepted euro. So then again, the crown would drop. But like Czechs, they have their crown, so they don't have euros. So, but it was like kind of flat, And then suddenly there was like Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto with Bitcoin, and a few years later there was Ethereum, and then few years later you had like explosion of various coins. Some people would call many of them shit coins, but anyway, some people would just be much more like poly-numists, as Balaji calls it, like not just poly-statist or polytheist, but also poly-numists. So you can be like monotheist or a-statist or monostatist or polystatist, like believing in many countries, not just one, or not just in no country, but yeah. So you could have and similarly now suddenly you had like explosion of thousands of coins or something, and it's quite possible. I mean, and it takes sometimes, like it took like from 2009, let's say, to 2017, the ICO boom, or something, where you had like so many coins. So it took like, let's say, 8 years or 9 years. And something similar could happen with the network states and like startup societies, network unions. But okay, now we are discussing network states as a possible like alternative. It might take a couple of years, maybe 10 years, and then maybe one will emerge, and maybe after that there might be like, I don't know, tens of them or something, or hundreds even. So it might be, like you have like the 200, like almost 200 countries in the UN, and suddenly you can get like 205 or something, and then after a couple of years could be like 400. You don't know, you don't know, but okay, this is just like a futuristic scenario, but like the main point I think connected with crypto is that there is no one who has all their wealth or all their yeah, basically all their wealth and their usage of money in crypto like 100%. You always go like, let's say, gradually and slowly. Let's say like now a couple of tens of millions of people own crypto, and maybe they have like 1 point of their net worth or of their wealth, or like 1%, sorry, not 1.1%. Of their wealth in crypto or something like that. But as the years pass by, it might actually shift into, let's say, 50% of people might have like 50% of their net worth in crypto, and then what will happen is like the digital becomes primary, but then also like the Web3 becomes primary, and something similar can be seen, can be discussed with these like network unions or network states, that it's just like it could be like really something like NFTs now. Then you have like something like crypto passports, and you can have multiple of them. It's like just like collecting NFTs, but like more kind of maybe loyalty and more commitment put into them, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be 100% just like going all into one network state. And it also doesn't mean that it's like either or. You can, of course, you are still a citizen of a fiat state, and you can have also like a network state affiliation as well, and citizenship as well. Yeah.
Well, that's so insightful. So as we come to the end of this episode, in what ways might the concept of the network state intersect with the religious or cultural revival, and how might this manifest through God network hybrids like startup societies?
Yeah, so as you can have like network state hybrids, like from top down, like let's say Estonia or China, or from bottom up, like as we discussed, like this process from startup societies to network states. Similarly, you could have like a God network hybrids. Crypto actually, or Web3 can actually help it, because it's kind of like you can actually showcase the strength of your community and the belief of your community, and actually you can measure those like communities, and you could and it's the Dogecoin is a good example, because that's like the first meme. Okay, it kind of sounds like a bit silly how can you connect it to culture or to religion, but it's like a pure meme, like one of the first pure meme coins. And the Elon Musk like kind of I don't know, allowing people to buy Teslas with the Dogecoin or something. And also us too, we were like just into it just for fun. But it's like it's just like pure belief, because it's just like but it had some kind of purchasing power or something. It was quite up, people pumped it or something. But it's just like an example of it's like a spark of the possible future. So you could have like, let's say, various coins of these like various startup community network unions or network archipelagos or something. And they can prove, you could then compare like how actually are these communities doing, because these coins are the way how to own a quasi equity or equity, okay, stake in those cities, or these like not cities, but like, let's say, also these are like distributed real estate, these kind of communities. And this is how crypto can help it. But about revival of so definitely you could have, let's say, startup societies dedicated to some ancient revival of some ancient like religious practices, some traditional folk religions, or let's say some smaller religions like Zoroastrianism in India. sorry, it's like Parsi in India, but it's like Zoroastrianism coming from Iran. It could be like Christian revival as well, like communities. Yeah, I mentioned in the article the Benedict option, which is like some kind of like popular book for Catholics, like how Catholics can relate to the state today. And you can have many of these. So the point is, it's not like exclusionary, like you just like a technology could be used for good and for wrong. But the good thing is about that you could actually it's more transparent, and you can audit like the trust in the community, or the power, the wealth of the community. So actually Balaji discusses like this on-chain census as a like important part or step towards the network state. So yeah, this is basically the way how you can quantify the belief into anything like Dogecoin. If you can do it with Dogecoin, you can do it with any community.
Thank you, Jakub, for your time once again at Mtambo's desk.
Thank you, Duke, and Happy New Year. And yeah.
Happy New Year to you. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed listening to Mtambo's Desk podcast, please subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, and be sure to come back next week for another episode. Until then, this is Duke Mtambo, and don't forget to do good always.